Alright. Now I be doing this shit right. Sorry, I started this before.
Alright.
And I'm stupid apparently, and I don't know what I'm doing. So, yeah. I told you guys that like 10 or 15 minutes ago I was going to be going live on here and doing a live stream about this because this kind of sucks, man. I woke up today on Monday, February 22nd, to learn that apparently one of my most influential bands or electronic duos, whatever you want to call them, growing up, Daft Punk, is breaking up. They're calling it quits, and no one really knows why. The announcement was just kind of dropped in our lap, and that was it. And I haven't even really seen any speculation or anything as to like why this is happening. Now, I will say that like Daft Punk have for the past, I don't know, ever since The Weeknd released his album Starboy or whatever, which Daft Punk had written a few songs on there with Abel Testicle or whatever his name is. So you had I Feel It Coming and you had Starboy, which were the two singles off that album. I think he might have had others, but I think really the only ones that what's up, Charlie? Thanks for tuning in, Maine. I think those were the only two singles off that album. But anyway, Daft Punk had been pretty inactive as far as their output was concerned. So it doesn't really surprise me to hear that they like broke up. But then again, they were one of those bands, much like Tool, where they would only put out an album every, so many years. I mean, if you look at their discography, I mean, you got Homework. I also realized I have a lot more Daft Punk shit than what I thought. I really like them a lot, Got the old school CD going on here. I love the inside. Oh, I just noticed they got like a Kiss poster on the inside. You might not be able to see that. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, they always had that rock side to them that they infused in their music, which was always cool about them. But anyway, they released their album Homework in 1997, and then they released the very rare, now it's rare, Alive 1997. You can't get this album anywhere. It's not on Spotify. I got this from Walmart back in the day. It actually came with like a bunch of stickers and shit that you can put on the outside, which is what I did as a kid because I thought that was cool. But this is a really rare album right here. It was basically just a long DJ set that they did. It was like one long song. You couldn't skip anything on here. Like you had to just listen to the whole thing. And I remember thinking that was a really unique experience. But yeah, so they did their 1997 stuff, and then 4 years later they come out with Discovery, which is like one of the fourth albums I ever bought in my entire life. Like I loved the song One More Time, and I remember the music videos that they played. They actually played them on Cartoon Network for a while, and they were anime, and they were animated by Leiji Matsumoto. Probably butchered that name, but they actually released a DVD called Interstellar 5555 that to this day I still think is awesome and very watchable. It's this really, unique anime idea with with Daft Punk's Discovery album, basically the entire Discovery album with put to an anime. So this was a really cool DVD, and you should check it out if you haven't seen it yet. It really was a great anime. I mean, that album, dude, to this day, it sounds timeless. And I mean, I guess the point of me doing this video is like, since we don't really know kind of what happened and why the group broke up, it's I'm just kind of going through my recollections and like why I loved them so much. Um, so I'm just kind of showing you all the Daft Punk stuff I've purchased over the years and how awesome it is. Yeah, Discovery really was a masterpiece. I am also heartbroken. Blackwater Rust, Me AV Productions. I will miss them too. The thing that did annoy me though about Daft Punk's kind of like latter career output was just how sparse it was. But we'll get to that because I'm going through my recollections now, and we're on Discovery, and then they're Interstellar 5555 DVD that they put out. Then later on, they did this really crazy underrated album, or overlooked, I should say. I don't know if it was underrated, but Human After All. And I read one article where it literally said this album sounded like backing tracks. I get it. It's really super repetitive, and is a challenging listen, but it does have some good points. But again, they just kind of, for this album, they just kind of lock on to like a cool idea, and they just keep riding that out for like way too long, and they kind of kill it. Yeah, their music is retro and futuristic at the same time. That's why to me it's timeless. So yeah, they did that album, Human After All, in 2005. I remember being so excited to buy this when I was in like 7th or 8th grade, and I was a little disappointed. But I actually did a video on one of the music videos off of this album for Prime Time of Your Life, and how disturbing that fucking video is. In my, I called it the music video Daft Punk doesn't want you to see. So I might put a card in here after I'm done with this live stream, but you can go to my channel and find that video because it is a disturbing music video. So after that, a few years later in 2007, to me, I feel like Daft Punk really released the album that put them on the map with a lot of the mainstream people, because before that, before Alive 2007 came out, I feel like Daft Punk was just like kind of an underground thing that only like nerds like myself knew about, and people who were into techno music, because that's what we called it back then. We didn't know, but nobody called it EDM or EBM or IDM. Everyone just called it techno. That could just be me and my ignorant circle of young teenage friends at the time. But yeah, we didn't call it EDM. So, but I feel like when their Alive 2007 album came out, which is basically an iteration on their Alive 1997 album, but yeah, this was basically a mashup of songs from Homework, Discovery, and Human After All. And I feel like this album gave Human After All a new life, because when mixed with their other songs that had more variety, it really brought out the songs off of Human After All and made them sound a lot better. And I think wouldn't surprise me if the sales of that Human After All album went up after this album came out. So they got pretty, big after that album. The cover of the album shows the famous pyramid that they would use at their live shows, which I never got to fucking see, of course, because I'm lame and sheltered, apparently. Or I live in the fucking South where no good band wants to tour to, because we're fucking backwards as fuck back here. But yeah, I've read quotes saying that Daft Punk's live shows at that time were the birth of the EDM movement, essentially. They were kind of like the godfathers of that. My friend and me were so hyped to maybe once go to a concert of the, I guess you mean, band. Yeah, Human After All might be my least favorite there. It's not bad. I'm just reading the comments right now. Yeah, I mean, it's arguably it's their worst album. Like I said, it's got some good ideas, but it's so fucking repetitive. The Only Guys that remix Daft Punk Alive 2007, amazing. Yeah, I would say Alive 2007 probably was their most important album as far as like mainstream, because like that's when people really kind of started taking notice of Daft Punk, which is crazy because it's a live album. And I could do a whole video on how live albums have like fallen out of popularity in the last 20 years. But that used to be like a big deal back in like especially like the 80s and 70s, like producing the live album when you can't actually go and see the band live, and that was like a big deal. But to put out a live album in 2007 that really like revolutionized things like it did, like they did with this album, it's really saying something. I want to be more in the frame, that's why I moved the camera just then. But before, I guess I should mention, before they put out Alive 2007, they put out this weird ass DVD called Electroma. And I remember being so like hyped for this DVD movie, like when it came out, because you know I've loved Daft Punk for years and years, and just like the scene that you saw when they posted that epilogue video today, that came from this movie Electroma. I knew it did when I watched the video or whatever. Sorry, my fucking stupid fingers in the way. But yeah, that video they posted today, epilogue, when they're walking away, and then one of the robots causes the self-destruct mechanism in the other robot. That scene looked so familiar. Oh, this is disturbing. Yeah, this movie's weird, man. I think they're like robots that want to be human, and then they realize that that's like never gonna happen or something, and they like self-destruct. I honestly have not seen this movie in a really long time, but I should probably go back and give it another watch and see if it's, you know, if there's still anything to it or whatever. I don't know how, like, if this video... Oh, yeah, see, look how fucking disturbing this is. This is actually kind of what the two guys from Daft Punk look like, but, like, really weird cartoon, well, clay-looking versions of them or whatever. But, yeah, this was a weird movie. It was really long, very little dialogue. I remember... I don't know if I even watched the whole thing back in the day. But anyway, that's where that last scene came from that they posted today, was from this 2006 video. With the production value, I'm like, there's no way they would have put all that production into doing an original scene just to say that they're retiring. So, but I think they knew that so few people actually watched this movie that they could get away with you know, using that scene. And then they put, of course, music to it from the next album that I'm going to get to that kind of really broke Daft Punk and is why everyone knows who they are. And that's, of course, Random Access Memories. The funny thing that happened with Daft Punk is after they did Alive 2007, I'm doing like a visual show and tell thing right now. After doing that album and doing all those shows, you know, a lot of stuff happened between 2007 and 2013. I mean, in the music industry, that's 6 years. I mean, that's a whole generation difference of, you know, everything that can change. I mean, whole like trends can come and go in the span of 6 years. So everyone's sitting around and being like, oh, what is it Daft Punk gonna do next? Like, what album are they gonna drop next? You know, I bet it's gonna be the most sickest dubstep, because dubstep was popular at that time. You know, got to remember that. Everyone thought they're like Daft Punk, you know, the godfathers of EDM. They were gonna come in and drop the sickest dubstep ass album that was just gonna like blow Skrillex away and blow Dead Mouse out of the water. And what did they do? They went back to the fucking 1970s, recruited some of funk and electronic music's pioneers like Nile Rodgers and Giorgio Moroder and a bunch of other people, studio guys, and they made one of the craziest yet most successful, just unexpected albums, Random Access Memories. And you gotta love that they keep to the whole robot theme. Obviously, computer RAM, and it stands for Random Access Memory. This is Random Access Memories, and it's kind of got this like very, you know, twee 70s style font. But no, this album, yeah, and the CD's missing because I let my dickhead friend Trey borrow it a long time ago and he lost it. So I have the case, but I don't have the damn CD. But yeah, no, this album totally like flipped the fucking script and took everyone by surprise. No one thought that they were gonna go. They like literally, everyone thought they were gonna go right, and they just took a sharp left. Like everyone thought, oh, they're gonna try to compete, and much like Nintendo did with the Nintendo Switch, instead of trying to compete with the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, they went the other way and said, let's redefine people's idea of what video game consoles are and release the Nintendo Switch. And it blew everyone away. And that's exactly what they did with this album. Also, I should say they went retro with, working with the 70s funk greats, but they also went completely contemporary, working with someone like Pharrell Williams, who his broadness and his ability to work with all kinds of different acts is very prevalent, especially on this album with his vocals that he lent to the song Get Lucky and Lose Yourself to Dance. They had people as broad as Julian Casablancas from The Strokes, who sang on the song, what's it called? Instant Crush. The funny thing about Julian Casablancas is he sang the entire song through a vocoder, so it's not even like his particular voice really lent that much to the song because it was processed through an electronic vocoder, so you couldn't even really tell it was him anyway. But he was in the music video, and I guess just having him on the record, even though you couldn't really tell it was him singing the song, I guess it lent some kind of cool points to it or whatever. So anyway, I'm just reading the comments here real quick. Yeah, Around the World, that's a classic song. The music video for that song is great too, directed by the legendary Michel Gondry. Yeah, okay, so Blackwater Rust brings up a good point here, saying, if there truly is no more Daft Punk, honestly, then I am at least happy they went out on a high note with Random Access Memories. I couldn't agree more. I mean, they redefined the bar with that album. I mean, they set the bar to a new standard for electronic music and pop music, and I really think that after that, looky here, Bruno Mars is now doing the whole retro thing, and all his songs are sounding like Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I mean, when you define the pop landscape that much, and they were getting older and all, I'm sure there was like a lot of pressure to follow up that album. Of course, Daft Punk's not one of those groups that are just gonna like listen to what anyone wants them to do. They're obviously trailblazers, and they're gonna do their own thing. So they probably were just like, you know what? We did great work with oh yeah, I know. I love that you can hear their French accent in Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. You can hear it on a lot of their songs actually. And I to my knowledge, they're one of the few French groups that really made it as big as Daft Punk did. I mean, you got Rammstein in Germany, and Daft Punk is really the group that represents France as far as I can't think of a band bigger than Daft Punk to come out of France. But yeah, like I was saying, I am glad that they left on a high note. And their last album came out in 2013. They did some stuff for The Weeknd's album Starboy, and you can hear Daft Punk's production all throughout that those two songs that they did with The Weeknd. So I mean, they almost felt like Daft Punk songs. And yeah, someone's bringing up the Tron Legacy soundtrack. I didn't really touch on that one because I didn't feel like it was really like an official Daft Punk like studio album. It was a soundtrack. I mean, they did have the song Rez on there. That was a pretty popular song at the time, but yeah, I don't know. I never really like listened to that one. I have listened to it, but I haven't really put in the time like I have to their studio albums. It's funny. I'm looking at my Spotify right now, and a lot of the people I follow are listening to Daft Punk songs. So yeah, I mean, it's sad. And then they did this DVD just to show you for shits and giggles. They released this in 1999, I guess after the success of their album Homework and maybe on the heels of Discovery. and it was basically just their first few music videos they did with Michelle Gondry mainly, before Discovery came out. Like they had Daft Punk, Around the World, Burnin', and Revolution 909. They have a bunch of exclusive material on here as well. Shit like this is what I really like about physical media, you know, like being able to just have this stuff and always have it and never have to worry about trying to find it, and it's a shittier version or whatever. So that's what I like about the physical media or whatever. But yeah, you look at their body of work and they're pretty much all certifiable classics. I mean, really, they only put out 4 studio albums. One of them's not that great, but I mean, you got Homework, Discovery, Random Access Memories. I mean, when you release 3 albums and each album defines the musical landscape at that point, I think you can pretty safely retire at that moment. I mean, everyone will always remember the impact that Daft Punk had. I mean, they've certainly influenced me on a huge level. I mean, obviously my band Dancing with Ghosts is like, as much as I love rock music, like I fucking love electronic music, and Daft Punk was the first electronic band. Actually, Moby technically was the first electronic artist that got me into it, but Daft Punk was right on the heels of Moby, and yeah, it's sucks that they're retiring. I wish I knew why, you know. Obviously no one, like, I haven't seen any speculation, so who's to say? Who the hell knows? But, you know, I'm sure that'll come out, or maybe it won't. I mean, they're very secretive. You know, they wear the masks all the time. They have that benefit of anonymity, although I'm sure their big fans know what they look like in person. But, yeah, you know, I don't know. I just wanted to make this video. This was, I was going to put out my video on, I'll give you, since you're watching the stream here, I'll give you a little taste. My next video is going to be on Chris Cornell's pop album Scream. That's right, the 2009 Chris Cornell pop album produced by Timbaland. That video's in production right now, but I heard this news today and I was like, man, I got to jump on this and just give my take on it while it's hot news. Daft Punk and Aphex Twin played a big role in getting me into electronic ambient music. Yes, same for Aphex Twin for me as well. Huge fan of Aphex Twin. I Care Because You Do was the first album that really got me into IDM, intelligent dance music, I think they call it. Richard D. James album, Drugs, all those albums were amazing. I love Aphex Twin. His new album, I mean, he put out an album a few years ago. That was, you know, sounds like he didn't skip a beat. He just picked up right where he left off. But yeah, I'm sure Guy Thomas, and the other guy has a really fucking hard name to pronounce. Guy Manuel Dichaume and Thomas Bangalter. These French ass names. I'm sure they'll work on stuff on the side on their own. I'm sure we won't be hearing the last of them. But yeah, until more news comes out, that's all I really have to say about this. Thank you for tuning into this stream, and keep your eyes open for my next video about Chris Cornell's pop album that he did in 2009. And if you want to get ahead of that and listen to some songs off of Scream and tell me what you think about it, go check it out. It's on Spotify. But yeah, thank you for everyone for tuning in, and I think I read most of your comments. But yeah, until next time, have a good rest of your day, since it's daytime.